Hi everyone. Welcome back to our channel English Rise. If you are new here, this channel was created to help you improve your English listening and speaking skills through calm, deep, and meaningful storytelling. If this type of content helps you, consider subscribing to the channel. It supports our work and helps you stay consistent with your English practice. Now let's begin. Today, we are going to talk about a lie that almost everyone believes. A lie that sounds harmless. A lie that feels comfortable, but a lie that slowly destroys dreams, confidence, and time. That lie is called one day. One day I will start. One day I will change. One day I will learn English. One day I will become who I want to be. This story is not about motivation. It is about awareness. And once you see this lie clearly, you cannot unsee it. Part 1. What one day really means. One day sounds positive. It sounds hopeful. It sounds like you are not giving up. But psychologically, one day often means something very different. One day usually means not today. And not today becomes not this week. Then it becomes not this year. And eventually, it becomes never. The human brain loves comfort. It loves safety. And one day is the perfect excuse because it removes pressure without removing the dream. You don't feel like a failure. You don't feel lazy. You feel patient. But deep inside, something else is happening. Every time you say one day, your brain learns that delay is acceptable. It learns that action is optional. And slowly, your identity changes. You stop seeing yourself as someone who acts. You become someone who waits. And waiting feels calm. But it is dangerous. Part 2. Why the mind creates the one-day illusion. Your mind is not your enemy, but it is not your coach either. Your mind's main job is to protect you from discomfort, not to make you successful, not to make you fluent in English, not to help you grow. Growth is uncomfortable. Change feels unsafe, and action creates uncertainty. So the mind offers a compromise. It says, not now, later. You will do it. Just not today. You are not ready yet. This creates emotional relief. You still feel like a person with dreams. You still feel like someone with potential. But you don't have to face fear today. The problem is that the mind does not understand long-term consequences. It only understands short-term comfort. And one day is pure comfort. Part 3. How one day kills English fluency. Let's bring this to English learning. Many people understand English very well. They watch videos, they listen to podcasts, they read comments, but they don't speak. Why? Because speaking creates exposure. Exposure creates vulnerability, and vulnerability creates fear. So the mind says, one day I will start speaking. One day when I feel more confident. One day when my pronunciation is better. But fluency is not built by waiting. It is built by repetition under discomfort. Every day you delay speaking, your brain learns silence. It learns avoidance. It learns safety instead of expression. And over time, the gap grows. You know more, but you speak less. This is the silent cost of one day. Part 4. The emotional price of waiting. At first, waiting feels neutral. Then it feels normal. Later, it feels heavy. You start to notice a quiet frustration, a feeling you can't fully explain. You see other people moving forward. You hear others speaking English with confidence. You see people changing their lives. And you wonder, what is wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. You didn't fail. You just postponed your life too many times. Regret does not come from mistakes. It comes from inaction repeated for years. And the most painful realization is this: time did not stop. Only you did. Part 5. Why one day feels responsible but is not. People often confuse waiting with being responsible. I need more time. I need to be ready. I need to prepare more. Preparation is important, but preparation without action is fear wearing a mask. You don't become ready and then act. You act and become ready through the process. Confidence is not built before action. It is built after thousands of imperfect attempts. One day promises safety, but safety is not where growth lives. Growth lives in today, in small, uncomfortable actions, in imperfect starts. Part 6. How one day shapes your identity without you noticing. Identity is not created by what you want. Identity is created by what you repeat. Every time you say one day, you are not just delaying an action. You are training your brain to see you as someone who postpones. At first, this is subtle, almost invisible. You still believe in yourself. You still imagine a better version of you. But slowly, the gap between who you are and who you imagine becomes painful. Your brain starts to associate your goals with distance. Dreams stop feeling real. They start feeling symbolic. You don't think, I am learning English. You think, I could learn English someday. And that small linguistic change matters more than you think. Because language shapes perception, and perception shapes behavior. Over time, one day becomes part of who you are. Not as a word, but as an identity. You become someone who waits for the right moment. Someone who waits for confidence. Someone who waits for permission. And life does not reward waiting. Part 7. The comfort trap. Why one day feels safe. One day feels safe because it removes urgency. Urgency creates pressure. Pressure creates discomfort. Discomfort creates fear. So the mind says, there is no rush. You have time. You can start later. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Time is not generous. It is silent. It does not warn you. It does not negotiate. It just passes. Most people don't fail because they choose the wrong path. They fail because they never fully step onto any path. They stand at the entrance of life, planning, thinking, waiting, and years pass. Comfort is not rest. Comfort is stagnation disguised as peace. Part 8. Why the right time never comes. Many people are waiting for the right time, the right mood, the right confidence level, the right circumstances. But the right time is a myth. There will always be fear. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be excuses that sound logical. The people who move forward are not fearless. They are not more prepared. They are simply willing to act while feeling uncomfortable. Readiness is not a feeling. It is a decision. And one day delays that decision indefinitely. Part 9. How this lie affects your self-respect. Self-respect is not built by success. It is built by keeping promises to yourself. Every time you say one day and don't act, something small breaks inside you. Not loudly, quietly. You stop trusting yourself completely. You start doubting your own words, your own plans, your own intentions. This is why procrastination feels heavy. It is not about the task. It is about the relationship you have with yourself. And over time, that relationship weakens. Part 10. The difference between intention and commitment. Intention sounds good. Commitment feels heavy. Intention says, I want to. Commitment says, I will, even when I don't feel like it. One day lives in intention. Growth lives in commitment. Commitment does not wait for motivation. It creates motivation after action. This is especially true when learning English. Fluency is not built in moments of inspiration. It is built in ordinary days, in repetition, in showing up even when it feels boring or uncomfortable. Part 11. Why small daily actions destroy the one-day lie. The opposite of one day is not someday soon. The opposite of one day is today, but small. Not perfect, not impressive, just consistent. 5 minutes of speaking, one short sentence out loud, one small effort repeated daily. Small actions feel insignificant, but they are powerful because they change identity. You stop being someone who waits. You become someone who acts. And that shift is everything. Part 12. Replacing one day with a new question. Instead of asking, "When will I be ready?" ask, "What is the smallest action I can do today?" This question removes fear. It removes pressure. It removes perfection. And it puts power back in your hands. You don't need to change your life today. You only need to stop postponing it. Part 13. The quiet freedom of starting before you feel ready. There is a strange freedom in starting early, in starting messy, in starting scared, because once you start, the illusion breaks. One day loses its power. Fear becomes familiar. Action becomes normal. And slowly, confidence appears. Not before action, but because of it. Part 14. How one day weakens your sense of control. One of the most dangerous effects of one day is subtle. It slowly removes your sense of control over your own life. When you delay action repeatedly, your brain starts to believe that change is something that happens to you, not because of you. You begin to feel like life is something you observe instead of shape. Opportunities feel external. Growth feels distant. Confidence feels conditional. You start thinking, when things improve, then I will act. When I feel different, then I will start. But this creates a passive mindset, and passivity is not neutral. It slowly erodes your belief that your actions matter. This is why many people feel stuck even when nothing is technically stopping them. They are not blocked by circumstances. They are blocked by a habit of postponement. Part 15. Why the brain prefers future change over present action. The brain loves future change because it costs nothing emotionally. Future effort does not require courage today. Future discipline does not require discomfort now. Future growth does not threaten your current identity. Saying one day allows you to keep your self-image intact. You can still see yourself as someone who wants to improve, someone who has potential, someone who plans to change. But intention without execution becomes self-deception, and the brain rewards this deception with temporary relief. That relief feels good, but it comes at a long-term cost. Part 16. How this pattern shows up in daily life. You see this pattern everywhere. You save videos instead of practicing. You plan routines instead of following them. You watch content about discipline instead of building it. You feel productive, but nothing changes. This is not laziness. This is avoidance disguised as preparation. And the longer this pattern continues, the harder it becomes to break. Not because the action is difficult, but because your identity has adapted to waiting. Part 17. The moment you realize time is not on your side. There's a moment many people experience quietly. You realize months have passed, then years, and you are still saying the same things. One day I will start. One day I will be confident. One day I will speak English fluently. That realization is painful, not because time passed, but because you were present while it did. You remember thinking about change years ago, and nothing happened. That moment is uncomfortable, but it is also powerful, because awareness is the beginning of responsibility. Part 18. Why action feels heavier after long delay. The longer you delay, the heavier starting feels. Not because the task changed, but because of accumulated emotional weight. You carry guilt. You carry self-doubt. You carry the memory of broken promises to yourself. This makes action feel bigger than it is. And one day becomes even more tempting. But here is the truth. The weight you feel is not the action. It is the delay. Action is often lighter than anticipation. Part 19. How daily habits silently destroy the one-day mindset. The most effective way to kill one day is not motivation. It is structure. Daily habits remove negotiation. You don't ask how you feel. You don't wait for confidence. You simply show up. When something becomes routine, fear loses its voice. This is how fluency is built. This is how discipline is built. This is how identity changes, not through intensity, but through repetition. Part 20. Why English is the perfect tool to practice action. Learning English is not just about language. It is about behavior. Every time you speak, even imperfectly, you practice courage. Every time you listen actively, you practice focus. Every time you repeat words out loud, you practice consistency. English becomes a mirror. It shows you where you avoid discomfort. It shows you where you wait instead of act. And that makes it a powerful tool for personal growth. Part 21. The shift from one day to today imperfectly. The real change happens when you stop asking for permission from yourself. You stop saying, one day I will be ready. And you start saying, today, even if it's imperfect. This shift is quiet, but it is life-changing because it puts you back in control. Part 22. How fear hides behind the word one day. At the core of one day, there is fear. Not loud fear, not panic, but quiet fear. Fear of being seen, fear of being judged, fear of discovering that you are not as good as you imagined. One day protects you from this fear. As long as you don't act, you don't have to face reality. You don't have to test yourself. You don't have to risk failure. But you also never experience progress. Avoiding fear feels safe, but it slowly shrinks your world. Part 23. Why courage is not a feeling but a practice. Many people wait to feel courageous before acting. But courage is not something you feel. It is something you build. You build courage by doing small, difficult things consistently, by speaking even when your voice shakes, by starting even when your mind resists. Every small act of courage weakens the power of one day, because action changes how you see yourself. You stop being someone who plans. You become someone who moves. Part 24. The moment you realize you are already behind. This realization is painful but honest. You understand that waiting did not protect you. It only delayed your growth. But this moment is not about regret. It is about clarity. You cannot change the past, but you can stop repeating it. And the present moment is the only place where action exists. Part 25. Why today is always the hardest day. Today is hard because it requires responsibility. Tomorrow feels easier because it does not exist yet. But the moment you act today, something shifts. The fear does not disappear, but it loses control. And that is enough. Part 26. The quiet power of consistent action. When you act daily, even in small ways, something important happens. You begin to trust yourself again. Self-trust is built by evidence, not by intention, and every day you act, you create evidence. Part 27. What happens when one day disappears? Life becomes simpler, not easier, but clearer. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop waiting for permission. You stop postponing your life. You act, you adjust, you continue. And slowly, the person you imagined becomes the person you are. Final part. The truth about one day. One day is not hope. It is delay dressed as optimism. The future does not reward intention. It responds to action. And the life you want does not begin someday. It begins the moment you stop waiting. If this story helped you reflect and practice your English at the same time, thank you for being here. This channel exists to help you improve your English listening and speaking skills through calm, deep, and meaningful storytelling. If you want to continue training your English while developing your mindset, consider subscribing to English Rise. See you in the next story.